The year is 1847 and Ceylon has a new governor, Count Torrington. The island's finances are in trouble as the coffee trade is slowing down. Britain's economy is in a banking crisis and colonial trade is destabilized. The new governor must buffer his finances, and the only way to do this is to tax the locals. A major acquisition program of land has turned Kandy's local economy on its head, and the peasantry are feeling the pain. The natives of Kandy need to pay a mounting series of taxes, and they are running out of options. The paddy tax on 1/10 of the produce of paddy lands is a burden. Paddy had been taxed for centuries by kings and local nobility, but customary laws of Kandy allowed peasants to have rights to cultivate land freely. In fact, most highland land was considered communal property. The new British land ordinances take away the concept of common property and fix absolute ownership over lands. Aside from a few trading activities, Kandian peasants have few options to generate income. They can try exporting a little coffee or become wage labourers on commercial plantations. This precarious life puts them in conflict with the British, a fight that is not evenly matched. If a smallholder's coffee crop fails and they are not able to pay the paddy tax, their paddy lands are seized by the state. These lands are in turn sold to plantation owners. There was hardship, destitution, and an increasing dependence on easily accessible alcohol. The peasantry is in pain, but there is more trouble coming as the plantation economy is about to come crashing down. Puran Appu, a native of Moratuwa from the west coast of Ceylon, starts speaking openly about state injustice, and his notoriety as a fearless upstart spreads. He joins up with other like-minded men, and their new favorite pastime is to annoy British plantation owners. This young man is now on the very radar he was sent from home to avoid. The eyes of the law are on Puran Appu, but Puran Appu's eyes are on revolution. His popularity does not stand well with the British and their henchmen, but an elephant hunter is about to change all of that. Puran Appu comes on the radar of Major Thomas William Rogers of Badulla, the assistant government agent and district judge of Uva province, and a ruthless enforcer. Rogers is reported to have hunted down and shot over 1,600 wild elephants in Ceylon. He busies himself finding out what he can about Puran Appu and soon learns about the assault on the Gamuladani back in Moratuwa. Tying this incident to several lesser crimes, Rogers puts the word out that Puran Appu is a fugitive on the run. When he hears of the allegations, Puran Appu openly asks why he must live according to the wishes of white men in his own country. This gets him quickly arrested and he is brought before the court to face the charges laid out. But furious natives are asking for his freedom. Chief among them, Puran Appu's mentor, Gunnapaneyarachchi, realizing that his daughter Bandaramanika is in love with Puran Appu, joins the cause of saving him from having to serve jail time. But Puran Appu is sentenced to 8 years in prison. As he is about to be escorted out of the court, the judge, a man named Dawson, asks if he has anything to say. With a glint of fire in his hazel eyes and rage coursing through his veins, Puran Appu loudly lets loose a curse on Major Rogers that he would be struck by lightning and die. Hated as he was, many Ceylonis at the time laid claim to this very curse on Rogers, but it is Puran Appu's that is remembered in history. In any case, on a nondescript tombstone in the corner of Norelia Cemetery are written the following words: in memory of Thomas William Rogers, Major, Ceylon Rifle Regiment Assistant Government Agent and District Judge of Badulla. He was killed by lightning at Matale, June 7, 1845, aged 41. By now, Ceylon is in recession. Both coffee and cinnamon production is subdued and there is a blight on the coffee plant. By the middle of 1847, trade income could no longer support the government of Ceylon. Up until then, exporters paid a moderate tax, but with the local recession looming and the one of Britain in full swing too, both Torrington and the colonial secretary, Emerson, overreact. Government revenue plummets sharply, and with years of inadequate revenue generation and excessive spending on urban infrastructure, there is no margin for error. To try and spur more exports, they abolished the tax on coffee. This leaves a gaping hole of £40,000 in government income. To plug this hole, the governor introduces a series of bizarre direct taxes on the natives. These are, by all accounts, even those of plantation owners, a major injustice on the locals. The taxes were many, levied on the possession of guns, cards, shops, fish, and even dogs, and some were enforced barbarically. If an owner of a puppy over the age of 3 months could not produce documentation of ownership or produce the shilling demanded by the British, the animal was killed. A body tax was imposed on the Buddhist clergy that was usually levied on civilians, enraging upcountry Ceylonese. Then, the final straw. A road ordinance that requires all able-bodied men between the ages of 16 and 60 to work on the roads for 6 days of the year or pay the equivalent in cash. Even the British-run Observer newspaper criticizes Governor Torrington's actions. Articles run by the editorial team at the time try to paint a picture of peasant life for the benefit of the government. The average peasant in Kandy lives on the harvest of 2 or 3 coconut trees whose total annual income was 10 shillings or 1/20th of a pound. Where would they find a shilling to pay for a dog? The urgings fell on deaf ears. The journalist, Dr. Christopher Elliott, a surgeon from Badulla, and A.M. Ferguson at The Observer were branded instigators of civil unrest by Torrington. The call for a revolution alarms louder than ever, and even a few British have joined in. And finally, some real news. Puran Appu has broken out of prison. News of the prison break spreads fast through the villages, and people keep a lookout to catch a glimpse of the handsome daredevil. That same night, Puran Appu arrives at Gunnapane Arachchi's manor and for a brief time is reunited with his lover. With the guidance of the Arachchi, Puran Appu conceals himself in the jungle, hiding with a couple of his friends, including Gongalegoda Banda. Puran Appu is now a wanted fugitive by the state and embraces this new identity fully. A gazette notification by the Colonial Secretary on January 1, 1847 offers £10 for his apprehension and describes him in detail. Perang Appu, originally of Morette, lately of Kandy. Trade unknown. Caste fisher. Aged 34 years. Height 5 feet 7.5 inches. Hair long and black. Eyes light hazel. Complexion light and well looking. Make well-made, stout marks of punishment on the back. He had suffered whiplashes while in British prison. But together with his comrades, the now vigilante fugitive plans a hit on Magistrate Dawson who sent him to prison. They break into Dawson's home at night and steal everything they can. Together with other local leaders, the clergy lead a call for a resistance. Rumors of more taxes fly around Kandy. People begin gathering. On July 6, 1848, a group of over 1,000 gather in mass protest to raise their concerns to the Crown Attorney General, Arthur William Buller, outside his office in Kandy. Intimidated by their number, the AG tries to evade the mob, insisting that he would talk it over with Torrington. This is received poorly by a very angry, very frustrated sea of people. Their screams swell into the air. "Do not let that white man go!" Chaos ensues and the police turn on the mob. Puran Appu reportedly drags the police captain down from horseback and the agitators follow suit. After the incident with the Attorney General, there are several attempts to diplomatically solve the problem. Emerson Tennant, the Colonial Secretary, tries to address the public, but stones are hurled at him and send him retreating to his chambers. The people have tasted protest. Just 3 weeks later, on July 26th, over 5,000 people from all around the country gather for a rally in Borella, near Colombo, to address the governor. Their demand: abolish all newly imposed taxes. The group march all the way to Colombo Fort and their numbers swell. But Torrington has ordered cannons to be ready and aimed as they march on Colombo. Seeing the cannons assemble, Dr. Christopher Elliott, the editor of The Observer, acts quickly. He takes to the street on horseback and pleads with the crowd to disperse calmly and to find a peaceful solution. He passes around a petition against the taxes and gets over 9,000 signatures. Torrington dismisses the petition as a coup and instead effects a ban on protests, criminalizing peasant gatherings. While some protesters want the taxes abolished, a few want the British out and a Sinhalese kingdom to be reinstated. Puran Appu and his associates are very firmly in the second camp, and in 2 days they will launch their revolt. Catch us next week on Patta History as Puran Appu faces the battle of a lifetime in the heart of Matale. Thank you for watching, and a special thanks to our Patreon members for their continued support. Make sure to like, subscribe and hit that bell button to get notified of new episodes.